66 million years ago, the age of dinosaurs ended in fire. An asteroid, 6 miles wide, struck what is now Mexico, releasing energy greater than billions of atomic bombs. Forests burned, skies darkened, and the mighty dinosaurs, the rulers of Earth for over 150 million years, fell silent. But the story of life did not end there. Out of that devastation came a new chapter, one filled with strange and magnificent creatures that reshaped the planet in ways we are still uncovering today. If you love exploring these hidden chapters of Earth's history, where fossils whisper stories of survival and transformation, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. That way, you'll never miss a journey into the prehistoric past. And to all of you already traveling through time with us, thank you. Your curiosity and support keep this adventure alive. Now, let us step into the Paleogene period, the first great age after the dinosaurs, a time that stretched from 66 to 23 million years ago. It was an age of renewal, when life clawed its way back from near extinction, and in the tropical swamps of the Paleocene epoch, one predator emerged to rule, a serpent so massive, so extraordinary, that it redefined our understanding of what life could become in the absence of dinosaurs. Its name was Titanoboa. Imagine walking through a rainforest, but not the kind you know today. The air is warmer, thicker, almost suffocating with humidity. Palm-like trees tower above you, their leaves dripping with moisture. Giant turtles as wide as dining tables paddle slowly in murky rivers. Crocodile-like reptiles, some more than 15 feet long, lurk just beneath the surface. And then, from the shadows of the undergrowth, a shape begins to coil. At first, you mistake it for the twisted roots of a tree, but the roots begin to move, muscle rippling under thick scales. You realize you are staring at the body of a snake thicker than a truck tire, stretching longer than a city bus. This was Titanoboa, the undisputed monarch of the Paleocene swamps. Paleontologists estimate Titanoboa reached up to 42 or even 45 feet in length, weighing more than a ton. No living snake comes close. By comparison, the largest anaconda today rarely exceeds 20 feet. Titanoboa was a constrictor, related to boas and anacondas, but far larger. It lacked venom. Instead, it killed with strength, coiling around its prey and crushing it with unimaginable force. Its victims were giant fish and prehistoric crocodilians that shared its swampy home. Once the coils tightened, even the toughest crocodile could do little but succumb. But how do we know such a creature existed? The evidence comes from a remarkable discovery in the Cerrejón coal mines of northern Colombia. In the early 2000s, miners cutting into layers of 60-million-year-old rock uncovered enormous vertebrae, each one dwarfing those of modern snakes. Paleontologists from around the world gathered to study the fossils, piecing together a skeleton that revealed the existence of the largest snake in Earth's history. Even fragments of skull were found, rare for snake fossils, that confirmed Titanoboa's close relationship to modern boas. The size of Titanoboa tells us more than just the scale of its body. It tells us about the climate of its world. Reptiles are cold-blooded, and their size is limited by the temperature of their environment. For Titanoboa to survive, the average annual temperature of the Paleocene tropics must have been significantly warmer than today, perhaps over 90 degrees Fahrenheit. In this way, Titanoboa became not only a symbol of nature's resilience after the dinosaur extinction, but also a living thermometer, a clue that helps scientists reconstruct ancient climates. The world Titanoboa lived in was both dangerous and vibrant. Dense forests of palms, giant ferns, and flowering plants, newcomers to the evolutionary stage, covered the land. Rivers swelled with fish unlike those we know today, some reaching gargantuan sizes. Massive turtles, such as Carbonemus, grew shells more than 5 feet across, and crocodile-like reptiles competed fiercely for territory. It was an ecosystem of giants, a tropical kingdom where survival depended on adaptation and bold experiments in evolution. And yet, Mammals were there too, small and seemingly insignificant at first. Rodent-like creatures scurried through the leaf litter. Primates, still in their infancy, swung from branches. These early mammals were not yet the dominant force they would one day become, but their presence was a quiet promise of things to come. While reptiles like Titanoboa claimed the swamps, mammals explored the forests, setting the stage for their eventual rise. The discovery of Titanoboa also reflects the detective work of paleontology. Each fossil pulled from the Cerrejón mines had to be carefully studied, compared, and placed within its evolutionary context. The coal itself, formed from ancient peat swamps, preserved pollen grains, plant fossils, and the remains of other animals, creating a detailed picture of an ecosystem that had thrived only 6 million years after the dinosaurs' extinction. It showed a world recovering, not with hesitation, but with exuberance, filling every niche with creatures both familiar and alien. But as awe-inspiring as Titanoboa was, it was only one chapter in the Paleogene story. For while reptiles reached new extremes in size, mammals were beginning their own journey of expansion. In the epochs that followed, they would grow larger, more diverse, and more complex, evolving into forms that reshaped ecosystems across the globe. From the shadow of the asteroid's destruction, life had not just survived, it was preparing to flourish.
Standing before the fossils of Titanoboa today, it is difficult not to feel a sense of wonder. The vertebrae, massive and curved, are silent reminders of a world where snakes ruled as giants. They remind us that extinction, though devastating, also opens doors for new life to emerge. Titanoboa was both a monster of its age and a symbol of resilience, an echo of nature's capacity to adapt and reinvent. And yet, as colossal as Titanoboa was, it would not remain the pinnacle of the Paleogene. As the climate shifted and environments changed, reptiles like Titanoboa receded, making room for new contenders. In the woodlands and floodplains of Asia, another giant was beginning to rise, not a snake this time, but a mammal. Taller than any giraffe, heavier than any elephant, it would claim the title of the largest land mammal to ever walk the earth. Its name was Paraceratherium, and its story belongs to part 2 of this journey into the Paleogene. When we last left the Paleogene world, the swamps of ancient Colombia were ruled by Titanoboa, the giant serpent whose coils could crush crocodiles and whose size told us of a climate warmer than any we know today. But as the Paleogene period unfolded, it was not the reptiles who would continue to grow in power. Instead, the mantle of dominance began to pass to the mammals. They were the survivors, who had once hidden in the shadows of dinosaurs. And now, with the old rulers gone, they began to expand into shapes and sizes that had never existed before. Among these new giants, one stood above them all, literally. Imagine a creature as tall as a 2-story house, its long neck stretching high into the treetops, its massive body supported by legs like living pillars. This was Paraceratherium, often called the largest land mammal to have ever walked the earth. It belonged to the same family as modern rhinoceroses, but unlike today's rhinos, it had no horn. It didn't need one. Its sheer size was its defense, and its presence must have been breathtaking to behold. Paraceratherium lived during the Oligocene epoch, between about 34 and 23 million years ago, long after Titanoboa had vanished. It roamed the landscapes of Central Asia, regions that are today deserts and mountains, but in that time were open woodlands and fertile floodplains. Fossils of Paraceratherium have been discovered in Mongolia, China, Kazakhstan, and Pakistan, giving us a wide map of its ancient range. These animals were not confined to a single corner of the world. They were travelers, spreading across continents in search of food and space. Their size was staggering. Paraceratherium could weigh up to 20 tons, more than 3 times the mass of a modern elephant. Its shoulders stood 16 feet off the ground, and with its neck extended, it could reach leaves 23 feet in the air. Picture a giraffe's browsing habits combined with an elephant's body mass, and you begin to sense what this creature was like. Its long neck was not graceful like a giraffe's, but thick and muscular, perfectly designed to sweep across tall trees and strip branches of leaves. Unlike Titanoboa, a predator lurking in swamps, Paraceratherium was a browser, a gentle giant of sorts. It likely moved slowly across the floodplains, pulling down branches, feeding on soft leaves, shrubs, and perhaps fruit when available. It had no natural predators once it reached adulthood. Few creatures would dare challenge something so massive. Only the young would have been vulnerable, perhaps to packs of carnivorous mammals or large crocodilians still lurking in waterways. For the adults, their colossal size was protection enough.
The evidence for Paraceratherium comes from a century of paleontological work.
The first fossils were unearthed in Central Asia in the early 20th century, and since then, researchers have pieced together its skeleton from scattered remains, jawbones, teeth, and enormous limb bones. No complete skeleton has ever been found, which makes reconstructing Paraceratherium a challenge. But enough fragments exist for scientists to estimate its towering dimensions. Each discovery, whether a femur longer than a grown man or a skull the size of a refrigerator, adds to the portrait of this Oligocene giant. What fascinates researchers is not just Paraceratherium's size, but what it represents. Its existence shows how quickly mammals evolved to fill the roles once occupied by dinosaurs. Where sauropods once towered over forests in the Jurassic and Cretaceous, Paraceratherium now performed a similar ecological role in the Paleogene, an herbivorous giant shaping its environment simply by feeding. These mammals were ecosystem engineers. By stripping high branches and clearing vegetation, they may have helped maintain the balance of woodland and grassland habitats, influencing the very shape of their world. Yet, as with all creatures in Earth's history, Paraceratherium's reign did not last forever. The Oligocene epoch was a time of change. Global climates cooled, and forests began to retreat. Grasslands spread across many regions, creating new challenges for animals adapted to browsing high foliage. Large-bodied creatures like Paraceratherium required vast amounts of food to survive, and as vegetation patterns shifted, their survival became more precarious. Slowly, their populations dwindled. By the end of the Oligocene, this magnificent genus had vanished, leaving no direct descendants. Their extinction reminds us of a truth that runs throughout Earth's history. Even the mightiest are vulnerable when environments shift. The giants of the Paleogene could not control the cooling climate or the shrinking forests, just as the dinosaurs could not prevent the asteroid strike. Survival often belongs not to the largest or strongest, but to those most adaptable.
But in the absence of Paraceratherium, other mammals continued to rise.
The Miocene epoch that followed saw the spread of many of the groups we recognize today: early elephants, horses, and great apes. The legacy of the Paleogene was not in any single species, but in the explosion of diversity it unleashed. Mammals had seized their chance after the dinosaurs' fall, and by the end of the Paleogene, they were well on their way to becoming the dominant life forms of the planet. When we step back and look at the Paleogene as a whole, we see a period of experimentation. Life was trying out new forms, filling every ecological niche left vacant by the dinosaurs. In the steaming jungles of the Paleocene, Titanoboa stretched the limits of reptilian size, a predator unlike anything alive today. In the open woodlands of the Oligocene, Paraceratherium towered over all other land animals, a mammal whose bulk rivaled the dinosaurs themselves. Both remind us that extinction is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of a new one. Today, as we watch elephants grazing in Africa, or giraffes stretching for leaves in the savannah, we are seeing echoes of that ancient age. The giants of the Paleogene are gone, but their memory lingers in the animals that inherited their roles. They are part of the same great story, one of resilience, adaptation, and transformation. The Paleogene period teaches us that life on Earth is never static. From disaster comes renewal. From silence comes song. From the ashes of dinosaurs rose a world both alien and familiar, where snakes grew longer than buses and mammals taller than houses. It is a reminder that our planet is a storyteller, and the fossils beneath our feet are its chapters. All we have to do is listen.